Have you ever wondered why your vision seems to vanish the moment you flip a light switch, leaving you stumbling through your own home in a haze of shadows? This content is for informational purposes only and does not replace professional medical advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider for personal health concerns. It is a disorienting sensation, yet it reveals one of the most sophisticated biological marvels residing right behind your eyelids. Research suggests that the human eye is not merely a passive camera, but a dynamic, self-adjusting instrument capable of shifting its sensitivity by a factor of nearly 1 million times. When you step from a bright environment into a pitch-black room, you are witnessing a complex physiological relay race that begins the instant the light intensity drops. Many of us assume that our sight simply turns on like a light bulb, but evidence shows that the process of dark adaptation is a gradual, chemical transformation. In those first few seconds of darkness, you might feel completely blind, grasping at furniture or waiting for your eyes to catch up. This lag is not a flaw in your design, it is a calculated delay built into your retinal biology. Studies indicate that your eyes are essentially resetting their internal hardware to interpret the scarce photons bouncing off your surroundings. It is a transition that requires patience, shifting the burden of vision from the color-sensitive cells that dominate your daytime experience to a different, more sensitive class of receptors designed for low-light survival. Why does this transition feel so sluggish, and what is physically occurring behind your pupils during that initial, murky minute? To understand the mystery of night vision, we have to look past the surface of the iris and delve into the microscopic architecture of the retina. The sensation of being momentarily sightless is actually the starting gun for a fascinating chemical reset that prepares your brain to perceive the world in grayscale. Let us move forward into the anatomy of the retina to see how these intricate cells initiate their silent, rapid-fire shift into the night. To understand this transition, imagine your retina as a dual-layered surveillance system. At the center of your vision lies a dense cluster of cells known as cones. However, cones require a significant amount of light to function effectively. As the sun dips below the horizon, these daytime sensors effectively power down, leaving your vision feeling temporarily muted or incomplete. Scattered primarily across the peripheral regions of your retina, rods are far more sensitive to light than their cone counterparts, though they lack the ability to distinguish between colors. When you enter a dark room, your eyes are essentially waiting for these rod cells to seize control. Under normal lighting conditions, rhodopsin is constantly being broken down by incoming photons. But in the absence of light, your body begins a rapid, methodical process of regenerating this pigment. As rhodopsin molecules reassemble within the rod cells, their sensitivity to low-level light increases exponentially. You are moving from photopic vision, the bright, color-rich world of the day, into the realm of scotopic vision, where your eyes rely entirely on these high-sensitivity rods to navigate the gloom. Studies indicate that it takes approximately 20 to 30 minutes for your rhodopsin levels to reach their peak efficacy. This is a delicate biochemical dance. Even a brief flash of bright light can bleach your rhodopsin, forcing the entire regeneration process to restart. This biological mechanism is not just a passive reaction, it is a sophisticated, evolving state of readiness that your body maintains to bridge the gap between light and shadow. Yet, this chemical regeneration is only one piece of the puzzle. As we look deeper into how these physiological shifts synchronize, we must examine the involuntary movements of your iris and how your brain interprets these faint, monochromatic signals to construct a coherent picture of the night. However, the speed at which your vision clears isn't a fixed constant. It is a dynamic biological dance, heavily influenced by the conditions you face just moments before stepping into the shadows. Studies indicate that the intensity of your pre-exposure to light serves as the primary governor of this adaptation pace. If you have spent your afternoon under the harsh glare of direct sunlight, your rods, the photoreceptors responsible for low light sensitivity, have been effectively bleached of their light-sensitive pigments. Research suggests that this bleaching effect forces the visual system to wait for the slow, enzymatic regeneration of rhodopsin before it can once again detect the subtle grayscale nuances of the dark. Age also introduces a layer of complexity to this biological process. As we navigate the decades, the physical architecture of the eye undergoes subtle changes. Medical professionals often observe that this reduction in pupil size limits the total volume of light reaching the retina, which can noticeably extend the duration of the adjustment period. Furthermore, the internal crystalline lens may gradually lose some of its clarity, acting as a filter that further diminishes the sensitivity of our photoreceptors in low-light environments. It is not merely about the absence of light, but the quality of it. Exposure to certain wavelengths, particularly the high-energy blue light emitted by modern digital screens, can interfere with the sensitivity of the retina, often delaying the transition to scotopic, or night vision. While the mechanics of our pupils are involuntary, our environment is often a choice we make. Choosing to dim your surroundings gradually rather than plunging into total darkness can help your eyes bridge the gap more efficiently. What feels like a seamless transition for some may be a frustratingly slow crawl for others. By understanding that your ability to see in the gloom is a result of both deep-seated genetic programming and your immediate history of light exposure, we can better appreciate the fragility of this biological feat. As we move forward, we will investigate how the brain processes these faint inputs, filtering out the visual noise, to ensure you can navigate the night with confidence. Yet, even when your visual system functions at peak performance, there are moments when the transition into darkness simply doesn't happen as it should. While the mechanics of rhodopsin regeneration are robust, they are not infallible. When the shadows fail to reveal the path ahead, it is often a signal that your eyes are struggling with more than just a lack of photons. If you find yourself hesitating before stepping into a dimly lit hallway, or if the road ahead feels dangerously obscured the moment the sun dips below the horizon, you may be experiencing a breakdown in dark adaptation. For many, this manifests as a profound sense of anxiety behind the wheel. When oncoming headlights leave you blinded for an unusually long time, or the lane markers seem to vanish into a murky void, your eyes are telling you that they are failing to bridge the gap between light and shadow efficiently. Research suggests that while minor variations in night vision are common, a consistent struggle to navigate low-light environments often warrants a closer look. Medical professionals often point to specific red flags. If your night vision has noticeably worsened over a short period, or if you find that you are constantly bumping into furniture in your own home, these are not merely quirks of aging or fatigue. Studies indicate that such challenges can be linked to a variety of factors, ranging from simple refractive errors that go uncorrected, to more complex ocular conditions like vitamin A deficiency, cataracts, or early-stage retinal issues. Sometimes, the culprit is as straightforward as an imbalance in the ocular surface or the early stages of myopia, which can blur the edges of your world just enough to make low-contrast environments feel impenetrable. In other instances, the retina itself may be struggling to maintain the chemical cycles necessary for scotopic vision. When your visual system stops working with you and starts working against you, it creates a barrier to your independence. Recognizing these signs early is the first step toward reclaiming your confidence in the dark. However, once we have identified these gaps in performance, we must look deeper into the biological scaffolding that supports your vision. Understanding how this intricate network handles the burden of low-light data is the key to seeing the full picture of how we perceive the night. While that neurowiring dictates the speed of our perception, you aren't entirely at the mercy of your biology. There are tangible, evidence-backed ways to assist your eyes in navigating the shadows. By keeping one eye covered in bright conditions, that eye remains in a state of partial dark adaptation. When you move into a pitch-black environment, uncovering that eye grants you near-instant vision, bypassing the lengthy chemical reset required by the rods. Beyond tactical maneuvers, the spectrum of light you expose yourself to matters significantly. If you need to navigate in the dark without resetting your eyes, medical professionals often suggest using red light. It allows you to maintain your night vision while still providing enough illumination to avoid hazards. However, these external strategies are only as effective as the biological foundation they support. Research consistently highlights the importance of vitamin A. This nutrient is the primary precursor to rhodopsin, the very protein that makes low-light sensitivity possible. Beyond vitamins, the health of your retinal cells relies on a defense system against oxidative stress. Studies indicate that antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin, often found in dark, leafy greens, act as a protective shield for the macula. Think of these nutrients as the maintenance crew that keeps your internal optical equipment in prime working order. While these habits provide a solid framework for visual performance, we must also consider how the brain interprets these signals once they leave the eye. As we shift our focus from the physical health of the eye to the cognitive side of perception, we start to see how the brain fills in the blanks when the world goes dark. Beyond the immediate mechanics of our biology, we are standing on the precipice of a new era in visual restoration. While our eyes have evolved to navigate the shadows through chemical reactions and neural adjustments, some individuals face conditions where these natural mechanisms falter. Current scientific exploration is now shifting from simply understanding the dark to actively repairing the pathways that allow us to see within it. Researchers are making remarkable strides in gene therapy, effectively targeting the specific mutations that prevent retinal cells from regenerating rhodopsin. By introducing functional genetic material directly into the ocular tissue, scientists are beginning to restore light sensitivity in patients who have lived with lifelong night blindness. Parallel to these genetic interventions, the field of bionic vision is undergoing a quiet revolution. Sophisticated retinal implants, tiny, light-sensing microchips, are being developed to bypass damaged photoreceptors entirely. These devices translate ambient light into electrical signals that speak the language of the optic nerve, allowing the brain to interpret darkness as a structured, visual environment. These technologies are not just about sight, they represent a fundamental expansion of human capability, bridging the gap between biological limitation and technological potential. As we conclude this journey through the twilight of human perception, it is helpful to distill the core concepts we have uncovered. We have learned that our ability to see in low light is a delicate, multi-step process involving the regeneration of photopigments, the activation of rod cells, and the subtle recalibration of our neuroprocessing. Maintaining this system requires a foundation of nutrient-rich support, particularly through vitamins that sustain the retina, alongside a conscious effort to protect our eyes from overexposure to harsh, artificial light. By respecting the time it takes for your eyes to transition into darkness and nurturing your ocular health through proper rest and balanced nutrition, you provide your biology with the best possible environment to function as intended. This content is for informational purposes only. If you found this information helpful, consider subscribing to stay updated on future explorations into the science of human biology and the ways we continue to perceive the world around us.